Part of the fun of life is running into people and situations in which people are behaving in ways that we don't understand. If you have moved to a different country, you are very well aware of this feeling. It can happen too if you just simply move from the city to the country, or even going from neighborhood to neighborhood. But essentially what we're experiencing is something called culture shock. And culture shock is a disorientation that you feel when you encounter cultures different from your own. Some sociologists talk about it like a toolbox. And here's the basic idea, that when you're born, you are given tools to handle any given situation that you might encounter. And that culture shock is when you are in a situation in which the tools that you are given do not work, and so you don't know what to do. This picture might be a good example of a toolbox not having the tools for you. I took this picture about 20 years ago in Colombo, Sri Lanka, on the day of a holiday, of a Hindu holiday. And essentially what's happening is this man was hanging by hooks on his flesh. And it was I had never seen this before, and in some ways it was kind of upsetting. I definitely was experiencing culture shock. Very often when we experience culture shock, we interpret the situation through the lens of something called ethnocentrism. And ethnocentrism is when you judge someone else's behavior through your own culture's toolbox. So for instance, in the United States, we don't see people engaging in that kind of activity, right? And so because I was coming from the United States and I saw this, I thought, well, why would anybody do that? That's crazy. As sociologists, what we try to do is engage in something called cultural relativism. And cultural relativism is when you view people's behavior not from your own culture, but from what's going on in their culture. So, for instance, what I finally figured out after doing research was that this man was showing he was sort of a holy man, a fakir, and he was showing his closeness to the higher power by being able to withstand something that would be very painful and very harmful to most of us. So when I looked at this behavior through the lens of cultural relativism, I saw it a little bit differently. Now, I was able to see this as this holy man performing this amazing accomplishment. When you engage in cultural relativism, this does not mean that you have to necessarily agree with what's going on. For instance, I don't think I will ever do this. But I can be very appreciative of people that do.